province, and that's a shame. So when I'm going out there and I'm challenging people and I'm challenging the government to fix that, that's not fixing it for union members, that's fixing it for every woman in Ontario and the men that fall into those classifications too. So that's my union backing me to help everybody. Let's talk about the retirement security campaign, right? To raise our Canada pension plan. That helps everybody, not just my union members. Health and safety. Right?
And that's a big issue
It's huge.
that I really want to talk about. But go ahead.
So now the recent amendments, we all kind of called it Bill 168, talks about domestic violence in the workplace. Now that is legislated, my own employer isn't compliant. My own employer, the Government of Ontario, isn't compliant. So now I, as one voice, am probably not going to be heard. But when my union of 120,000 people steps up and says, you need to fix this, it's going to get fixed. And that's going to set the standard for other workplaces in Ontario.
I've always felt that for a company or a business to move ahead, you have to have everybody rowing in the same direction. So you have to have agreement from the people providing the service, from management and so on. And if you're all working together, then your company is successful. Mm-hmm. Is that a union idea, or is that a private sector idea, or is that just an idea that I've got that benefits both workers, owners, and potentially people who buy into the company?
I think for myself at least, if we're all on the same page, it's a big book. Right?
Yes,
we can be on
yes.
many different pages at many different times, right? So if the employer wants to pay people properly and does the things to ensure that they're safe in work and they're going home alive, then yes, probably that is going to flow better and work smoother. But if they are not being equal and they are treating people differently and they're breaking, human rights codes, then no, we're not going to be on the same page in my library.
And when we were talking earlier about the day of mourning that you had, and that should be for everybody.
Absolutely.
But it starts with a labor initiative. Can you tell us a little bit about that the other day?
Well, the day of mourning every year is on the 28th of April. And what we do as labor is we hold events across the country to recognize those people that have been killed on the job. Not just union members, but anybody that never made it home from work one night because they were injured or killed on a job. We think that we have that day. The CLC, between the Canadian Labour Congress and the government, they've pushed to have this day so that it's recognized across the country. The United Nations, we're trying to get it through the United Nations now so that it's recognized worldwide. If we sit and look at it in Canada, the numbers came out last night. I don't have them with me, but more people have died on the job since the Korean War than we've had actual soldiers die from this country. And,
really? And died at work?
Died at work, died on the job since the wars, than soldiers that have died. Now, on Remembrance Day, we have thousands upon thousands of people that go out to respect those soldiers that were killed on the job. And you know what? Rightfully so. But at the same time, when more workers on the job have been killed because of health and safety issues, because of neglect, because of anything else that might have come up where a worker was not able to go home to his family at the end of the night, we should be respecting those people as well, as much as we do the soldiers that have died for our country. These are people that are building families within our communities. And that's part of the reason why in Milton we do a day of mourning with the CAW puts one on from Local 414 up in Milton. They do a tremendous job. And the Oakville and District Labour Council, we held ours last night at 5:30 at the Oakville Library. And we do that every year, the same time, same place. We have a workers' monument out there that the that all the unions in the area have contributed to. And in 1998, it was put up permanently in the courtyard out of the Oakville Library.
That's a wonderful thing, that we should all be thinking about those workers, those individuals on a particular day. And it's something that we probably don't hear enough about.
No, we don't, because it's not sensationalized unless you fall from a scaffolding and 3 die and 1 is maimed, right? That's the problem. And another thing, the most likely person to be injured at work in current statistics are our youth, right? So that means your child could be going to work tomorrow, and if he's old enough to work, he's old enough to die. How does a parent feel about that?
That sends a shudder up my back.
Exactly, exactly. And there are places out there that do not follow our health and safety regulations.
I thought we had a pretty good health and safety record in this province. Do we not?
Well, when you start talking about precarious workers, that's another thing our unions are involved with helping. For example, the Workers' Action Centre, Dina Ladd runs that down in Toronto, helping precarious workers. If you're new to this country, are you really going to complain to your employer about a health and safety infraction and risk losing your job? What are the chances? If you're a youth, are you really going to stand up and do that? If you're in a union environment and you go to your steward and complain about it, do you feel a little safer bringing that up? I would think so.
I personally, and I used to be a small business owner, safety is not only safety of everybody else, but it's also safety of me.
Absolutely.
And I want that workplace as safe as it can be. And maybe it's an idealistic view of things, but if I want it safe for me, I want it safe for the other people as well. And my hope is that everyone would feel that way. Yeah. But they don't.
I'm not going as far as to say people are out there and they don't care whether somebody's hurt at work, but they're certainly not doing the due diligence that's required to ensure that it's not happening. And that's why we get 20 deaths a week.
20 deaths a week.
I think that's the number on average.
491 deaths were reported in Ontario last year at the workplace. 491. So we're over 1 per day.
And that's not going to include occupational diseases.
Oh, okay. Now that's an area that I know you're very much involved with, is the Workers' Safety Insurance Board, and what they cover and what they don't cover. I guess any inroads that you make there and get the issue covered translates then not only to your union members, but translates to everybody, union and non-union.
Absolutely. You know, that's what a lot of our union dues go to, right, is taking on those challenges. So yes, it helps our members, but then it sets the precedent for what everybody else should be entitled to as well. It sets
that bar slightly higher.
Absolutely.
Slightly higher.
Absolutely.
And have you been successful with those endeavors?
That's not my forte per se.
Okay, but it is part of Labor's initiative that maybe viewers don't really understand the broad perspective of things that you are involved with on a daily basis.
I can give you another example. In Guelph recently, there was a bit of a news break about Agent Orange, and for those that don't know, it's a mix of 2,4-D and 2,4,5-T. And when you mix them together, it creates this Agent Orange. So,
and is that the same Agent Orange that was in Vietnam?
Yes, exactly. So back in the day, it was used to clear brush and wooded type areas, and they would have students go out with big orange balloons and stand in the field so the plane knew where to drop it. But it was safe. There was no, they did studies, I'm sure, and, oh, this is very safe, right? And 20 years later, yeah, would you stand out there?
Not knowing what I know today.
Exactly, right? But
nobody's doing that purposefully, but I guess somebody has to take responsibility for it, and that's the initiatives that you're taking to ensure that those individuals are covered in some manner from, although nobody did it on purpose, they still have to be helped.
Exactly, and new things, new technologies that come up now, we have to look at those through a different lens. We have to look at history and say, okay, well, we thought that was okay too. You know, maybe we should be doing a little more scrutiny here. You know, people get all upset with us, and I'm like, that's my due diligence to make sure people are safe now and in the future.
So is that, Dave, is that your major influence that you've been working on, or is it a number of prongs that all go into the central hub?
It is basically a number of prongs that go into the central hub. As the Labor Council, I'm the president of a Labor Council that has 15 to 20 different local unions underneath that umbrella. So we have elementary school teachers, high school teachers, we have public servants, we have QP members, auto workers, postal workers, you name it. We have all the unions in the Oakville and District area, and it's a central committee of unions to come and we share our problems and how we can resolve them as a committee. How can we go out into the community and try to prevent something from happening? Health and safety is one of our biggest issues, and it'll never end. It's a continuous build. We always continue to get something better. I mean, I look at...
Well, hopefully it won't end, that you'll continue with the, continue fighting to get coverage for those individuals. But you know, we're out of time. See, I told you the time would go so quickly. But I want to thank you both for joining me. You've shed some new light on the issues that labor is involved with, and how it can benefit the larger community. So thank you to Edie Strachan, President of OPSU Local 506 and the Provincial Women's Committee, and to Dave Millar, President of the Oakville and District Labor Council. Interesting and informative discussion today. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
And we want to thank you, our viewers, for tuning in today. We've got a viewer response line. If you'd like to comment on this show or any show that you'd like to see in the future, give our viewer response line a call. It's 289-337-7770. 289-337-7770. So on behalf of Dave Millar, President of the Oakville and District Labor Council, Edie Strachan, President of OPSU Local 506, we want to thank you very much for joining us here on Roundtable. I'm Mark Carr.